our very first story, a day after they were attacked by rampaging thugs believed to be loyalists of the governing New Patriotic Party, some staff of the Upper West National Disaster Management Organization are up in arms against the regional minister, Suleiman Al-Hassan. The workers are accusing the minister of ordering the release of the thugs who were arrested by the police for attacking the bodyguard of one of the directors there and locked up all NADMO officers in the region in protest. At a news conference Thursday, the NADMO officers chided the regional minister and vowed to keep their offices shut until the thugs have been rearrested. Now, Joy News' Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam, however, reports the minister has denied ordering the release of the suspects. Now, the minister's denial is, however, not very relevant right now, as the president in the last couple of hours has ordered his suspension. We have the details of the suspension after this report, which tells a story of his involvement in the release of the thugs who attacked the NADMO office.
It appears the bubble of political party vigilantism in the Upper West region has been busted to the fullest following the attack of the Upper West office of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, by supporters of the NPP. The Upper West region was considered to be relatively peaceful because it was the only region in the country that had not recorded any of such attacks until 2 months ago, when the issue reared its ugly head. Some supporters of the NPP, believed to be coming from the West district, numbering about 30, besieged the Upper West office of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, to chase out its coordinator, Isaac Seidu. They were prevented from doing so by officers of the Upper West NADMO. As a result of that, the personal assistant of the Upper West NADMO coordinator was beaten to pulp, whilst the secretary, Beatrice Abu, sustained injury. Upper West NADMO coordinator Isaac Seidu spoke to Joy News on what transpired yesterday.
But what I know is that I was in the office when my security was shouting outside with some people, and my secretary was shouting and saying, "Boss, don't come out, don't come out, don't come out. There are people attacking the office, lock the office." Then she came and locked the office and said I should call police. So I was only hearing people crying and hearing sound outside that they were beating my people all over the offices. All the NADMO staff were attacked at the regional secretariat, and that I also had to call the police crime officer, and he deployed his people to the office. As soon as he got there, at least by then, they had weakened my personal security officer at the secretariat because he prevented them from attacking me inside the office. So, in fact, the police really did very well by coming early and arresting the people. I don't know what happened. According to source, someone said the police should drop them. I don't know who actually authorized that. The person did that, and the police got angry, furious, and dropped the people and went out there.
Could it be the regional minister?
I can't tell.
Or somebody?
I don't know, because I was not there.
Somebody who looks like the minister?
I was not there.
Somebody who was standing there?
I was not there.
These officers are not meant for ghosts, but they are for the Upper West Directorate of the NADMO. I've been here for the past 1 hour trying to see whether I can get the officers right there. But I'm told that because of yesterday's attack, there's a statement here which I can read to you. The people who attacked us must be arrested before we come back to work. Our lives are not safe. At a press conference held by officials of the Upper West NADMO office, the officers said they were disappointed in the act of the Upper West Regional Minister, Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan, in his bid to stop the Irish supporters. They claimed their lives are in danger and doesn't feel safe working in the office anymore. Erika Aseye is the Upper West NADMO PRO.
We are really disappointed in the regional minister for allowing those guys to go free, because they can come back and attack us because they are freed. If they were arrested, at least we would have been safe, because we know that they wouldn't come back. But for the fact that he allowed them go, we don't understand. I mean, he doesn't care about our welfare.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan, however, denied asking the police to release the 4 suspects to go scot-free.
I'm not. They were not like they were. By the time they came, I was already with the people. So I just didn't want the whole thing to look like there was commotion. So I told the police that they were with me already because I have been able to settle them. I wanted to listen to both parties, and then whatever it is, then I'll get back to them. So even with the help of the police, we took down the names of the people. They took a copy. I also have a copy. So we agreed that today, 10 a.m., then I'll bring them hand them over to them. That's what we did.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Well, that Upper West Regional Minister has been suspended, as I indicated. We have a statement from the presidency coming through on that. So the title is President Akufo-Addo suspends Upper West Regional Minister. And it reads, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has suspended with immediate effect from office the Minister for the Upper West Region, Alhaji Suleimana Al-Hassan, pending the outcome of the investigation into the unfortunate incident that occurred at the premises of the Upper West Regional Office of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, in Wa on Wednesday, January 31, 2018. President Akufo-Addo reiterates his commitment to the application of the laws of the land, which must occur without fear of favor, affection, or ill will, and without recourse to the political, religious, or ethnic affiliations of any citizen of the land. The Deputy Upper West Regional Minister, Mr. Amidu Ishak, will act as Regional Minister in the interim pending the conclusion of the investigation. And it's signed by Eugene Ahin, who's the Director of Communications at the Presidency. Now, Deputy Chief of Staff, Abu Jinapo, has also been speaking to this particular issue. He spoke on Top Story on Joy FM.
The President has found it necessary, having received preliminary briefings, to suspend the Upper West Regional Minister pending the outcome of an ongoing investigation into the incident.
So we are told from our regional reporter that this morning he handed the 5 individuals he himself confirms he let go yesterday when the police arrested them back to the police, who are currently behind bars. It appears he had made amends today.
Well, I think we will unravel all of these after the ongoing investigation. That's why the President is not fired him, or is not asked him to stay on, or is not taking a definite decision on it. But given the circumstantial evidence at his disposal and the preliminary briefings that he's received from agencies of state, he thinks that the proper thing to do is to ask the regional minister to step aside whilst investigations are concluded. When the investigations are concluded, I believe the President will be in a position to take a definite decision on him.
In a related development, members of the governing New Patriotic Party at Bayere in the Wa East district of the Upper West region, who besieged the office of the Upper West NADMO office, have expressed remorse over their action. In a statement released Thursday morning on behalf of 6 polling stations in the Bayere electoral area and thumbprinted by the polling station chairman, they stated that they realized on hindsight they could have settled their grievances through non-violent means. Mohammed Zakaria, a spokesperson for the group.
An incident happened yesterday. Out of the incident, we realized that we have made a great mistake. And then when you've done something wrong to an elder or someone, the best thing you can do is to say, I'm sorry for that. So the content of the letter is to apologize for what transpired yesterday when the people moved from here to the RCC and the incident happened. So the polling station chairman, including all the other executives, they felt sorry about what happened. And that letter shows an apology to the leadership of the party as well as the region at large. So they are appealing and apologizing that what happened will never and ever repeat again.
Yeah, this disturbance that we are talking about happened. Now the minister is suspended. Are you people happy?
Oh, how can we be happy? We are very sorry about the news we are hearing currently, because what we went there, we thought it was simple matter, but when we got there, maybe it was turned to other story of the day. So we are not happy if we hear the minister or the leader has been suspended or to stay away from office based on this issue happening. We are very sorry about that. If we could get the opportunity, we'll appeal to the leadership of our country to accept our apology and see leave our our father of the region to continue the good work he has been doing for the people of Upper West and the region at large.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, Upper West Regional Secretary of the MPP, Hafiz bin Saleh, has acknowledged receipt of the apology from the Bayere polling station executives. You have expressed shock at the decision by the president to suspend the Upper West Regional Minister Haji Suleimana Al-Hassan. You're watching Joy News Prime, and we're taking a break here on the bulletin. But still ahead in the bulletin, the Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta is heading to court to clear his name after the minority, citing a Shraj report, demanded his resignation. And the TDC Development Company is effectively taking over 4 Kaiser flats marked for demolition after they were deemed unsafe for habitation, except for one of the rooms in flat 407, where 69-year-old pensioner tenant is refusing to leave.
If she agrees and leaves, by just a word of mouth that TDC will compensate her and leaves, TDC might not compensate her. That's why she went to court to take the court order.
We'll bring you all that after the break. Stay tuned. The TDC Development Company on Thursday effectively took over 4 multi-story structures at Kaiser Flats in Tema from its occupants, who had been giving up to Wednesday to move out or be forcefully evicted. The buildings deemed unsafe have been marked for demolition to be replaced by new structures. The team, which included officers from the National Disaster Management Organization and the police, however, had little to do, as virtually all the occupants had moved out, except for one tenant, 69-year-old pensioner Janet Barnes. Joining us is Matilda Vomega. There's more in the following report.
The company had planned to forcefully evict any recalcitrant tenants and had come prepared for a showdown. There was, however, no such confrontation, as virtually all the 400 occupants had packed out, except for Janet Barnes. The 69-year-old pensioner, the last woman standing, is currently the only resident in Block 407, one of the 4 multi-story structures marked as unsafe for habitation. She argues she went to court because, unlike the other tenants, she is yet to be compensated. She refused to speak with Joy News, insisting she had nothing to say. Officials of NADMO, together with the assemblyman of the area and a few others, tried to explain to Mrs. Barnes being alone in the building, which had no electricity or water, was not a good idea. Richard Enin is assembly member for the horticultural electoral area where the Kaiser flats are.
TDC let us know that she's the only person that they have not compensated. But the woman was also saying that if she agrees and leaves, by just a word of mouth that TDC will compensate her and leaves, TDC might not compensate her. That's why she went to court to take the court order.
Okay, so what is going to happen to her now?
Yeah, her things are there. You being the only person in the room, it's not safe for your life. Everybody has left except you. You know, attack from armed robbers or thieves is one of them.
Chief Engineer of TDC, Eugene Sanjok, dismissed suggestions the corporation was doing selective eviction. He explained they have identified other blocks that are also unsafe and they will soon be marked for demolition.
These 4 are those that are in a very deplorable state. If you enter into some of them, you will see that even the slabs are falling. And so that is the reason why we have decided that these 4 have been declared dangerous, and then we have to bring them down immediately. We have plans for the other ones, but these are the ones that are in a very terrible state. So it is not a question of selective eviction, but we want to make sure that lives and properties are safe. Those people have legally acquired their properties, those ones. It will not be a question of just coming in to eject them. At least before you move them out, you have to put a plan in place, at least for resettling them. Maybe if it's a question of getting some flats somewhere and moving them out to those places. We'll look at all those modalities.
NADMO has meanwhile offered temporary shelters for occupants who have nowhere to go at the moment. Its Director General, Nana Ajiman Prempe, was on the ground to supervise the evictions.
The family, that family who have nowhere to go, they are going there.
How long does NADMO intend to keep these people in this safe haven?
Well, first things first. They are going there. we're managing for them to go and get a place to stay. At least they have to sleep today, tomorrow, and the next day.
A few belongings of the occupants are still on the premises, even though earmarked structures have been cordoned off, including Block 407, with tenant Janet Barnes, who is waiting to be assigned alternative accommodation by the TDC. Meanwhile, it is unclear how the corporation intends to secure the buildings so squatters do not take over, as has happened in the past. For Joy News, Matilda Pumbaga, Tema.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will proceed to court to set aside aspects of Sraj's recent findings on its investigations into the $2.25 billion bond issue. Sraj cited the minister's extensive interest in the securities market through shareholding in several companies, some of which were involved in the transaction, as presenting potential conflict of interest situations. One of the reasons why the minority in Parliament is calling for him to be sacked. Information Minister Mustafa Hamid at a news conference on Thursday, however, stated the matter of asset declaration was not before Sraj, per the original complaint filed by the NDC's Broja Jemfi, and that the human rights body was not properly placed to make any such pronouncement regarding asset declaration. Komla Adom has more.
The minority MPs at a news conference Wednesday vowed to trigger a parliamentary procedure to remove Finance Minister if the President fails to act within 14 days. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, speaking at the news conference, said that Sraj's findings into the matter stated clearly that the Minister broke the law.
We therefore call on the Honourable Minister to do what is honourable and accept the findings of Sraj and bow out and resign honourable as Minister for violating the laws of Ghana pursuant to relevant section of Act 550.
But Information Minister Mustafa Hamid disagrees. He says the Finance Minister followed the Bank of Ghana guidelines on the matter, provisions which have been in use since 2015.
Guidelines for the issuance of bonds are given by the Bank of Ghana and not the Ministry of Finance. And the guidelines with which the 2017 bonds were issued had been in existence since 2015.
The minority is relying on portions of the findings by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Sraj, which says the Finance Minister's extensive interest in the securities market raises potential conflict of interest, the basis for their call for his dismissal. However, Mustafa Hamid says Sraj veered into areas it was not mandated to.
We find that Sraj went beyond the matter of conflict of interest to make pronouncements on other matters that it was not seized with the capacity to make. Sraj can only make pronouncements on conflict of interest situations and not issues to do with bond issuance and its ancillary subjects. That subject, per the Securities Industry Act, Act 929, is reserved for the Securities Exchange Commission.
As a result, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is headed to court to set aside some aspects of Sraj's findings, especially those in relation to his assets declaration.
The matter of asset declaration was not before Sraj, and Sraj was therefore not seized with the power to make a pronouncement on it. We find that it is these extraneous matters which Sraj commented on which have become the ammunition with which the NDC has started a new round of attacks. We hereby serve notice that Ken Ofori-Atta will proceed to the courts immediately to seek to set aside those extraneous matters in the Sraj report.
Government says the constant attacks on Ken Ofori-Atta will continue to yield no results as they only remain attempts to flog a dead horse.
An interministerial committee on small-scale mining is meeting to determine the way forward on the 9-month ban on all forms of small-scale mining across the country. Government in October last year extended by 3 more months what was then a 6-month prohibition on illegal mining, promising to lift the ban by the end of January this year. Legitimate small-scale miners have all this while complained about the directive, which has left them jobless. Joining us is Latif Idris caught up with the Land and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Amewu and asked him about government's position on the ban.
Government is, of course, is on course for the program that the president has put forward. I had a meeting last week with the Small Scale Association. I'm meeting their General Secretary, Godwin Amma. So we are talking, we are in close contact, and something good definitely will come up. And we are in talk with the Small Scale Association.
How soon?
Even it's likely I'm meeting Godwin either today. I'm supposed to have a meeting with him at 2 o'clock. So we want to finalize all those discussions, and then we can make a pronouncement. Don't forget, there is also a ministerial committee that is also working alongside, my ministry in collaborations to see how we can address this. So, and cabinets in terms of the president is in charge of this whole small-scale business to make sure the right thing is done. So most decisions, of course, will be coming from the president.
So cabinets will largely rely on your outfit?
Largely, but it's, this government is an inclusive government that we're running. It's not an independent government. The president doesn't work that way, and this president is working from a multi-ministerial approach, and it's very interesting that he wants the buy-in of every minister. So you might be responsible as a sector minister, but certain decisions you might be responsible, but you need a buy-in from other sectors, and that is how we run in this government. Exactly what the president is doing.
Are you comfortable with what you've achieved so far, so that you would want to lift it, or you'd want us to go a little bit further?
I think that decision is largely something the Ghanaian people would have to tell us, but I think there's a long way to go. The water bodies they're still not clear. The people are still there. The chamfers are still there. The night operators, now they've learned how to move from day to night. They are there. The Vanguard is catching on them. The small-scale task force is catching on them. So there's still a lot to be done. But in absence of that, we could begin to talk as we're doing now with the small-scale association. Yeah.
So there's a possible extension. You're watching Joy News From. We're taking a break to bring you business news. Next thing coming up in business news, the Association of Ghana Industries is drawing government attention to excessive malpractices and revenue leakages at the ports despite the implementation of a paperless operational system. But one other story that we're looking out for is that the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mamudu Bawumia, is returning to Ghana from the United Kingdom after taking a 12-day medical leave on the advice of his doctors. He will be met on arrival by the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. And we are also there at the airport to bring you images of his arrival at the airport. And then scientists have also been able to determine how the kenkey that we eat, which is a major staple here in Ghana, is causing cancer. Now, at least one kenkey producer has confirmed she is aware of the phenomenon, and we'll be breaking it all down for you here on Joy News Prime 2 station.
Hello again, good evening to you. Welcome to Business on the News tonight. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, is raising red flags over what it describes as a trend of malpractices and revenue leakages at the ports. President of the association, Dr. Yawedu Jemfi, revealed this at a press conference on Thursday that some importers are finding ways to evade taxes and duties through the connivance with some revenue collection officials at the ports. This, according to the AGI, affects local manufacturers. There's more in this report.
According to the president of the AGI, Dr. Yawedu Jemfi, the practice of under-invoicing, under-declaration and misdescription of imports in order to pay less in taxes are still rife at the ports. This trend, he believes, exposes local manufacturers to unfair competition from such imports.
AGI is saying that not that we are not competitive in the sense of what we produce, but we are not competitive because we import raw materials. We use the raw materials to do our production. But if those who import the finished goods, if they are not paying the right, correct duties for whatever they import, finished goods, then it will be very difficult for us to compete with them. Why? People, if you take a shirt and the shirt is 5 cedis and somebody bring a shirt without paying duty, without paying whatever equivalent duties and can sell it to you for 2 cedis, which one will you buy? You'll go for the 2 cedis. And therefore, we're saying that, is there a way that we will start to be diligent in terms of collection so the government will make more revenue in terms of the collection, as well as when they collect the right duty, these importers also sell their goods at a competitive price, and therefore we be the same market together.
Dr. Yawedu Jemfi says there is the need for government to sanitize the ports by forming a special independent task force to monitor the situation.
We want to develop
if we're talking about, especially to us, manufacturers, when we're talking about for the effectiveness of the one district, one factory, we definitely need this system to be normalized.
The AGI says the main sectors that continue to suffer from this unfortunate trend include the fruit juice sector, dealers in electrical cables, tomato paste, canned tuna, cooking oils, and fast-moving consumer goods in general.
Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has hinted of plans to partner with the One District, One Factory Secretariat to support some of its members to identify opportunities under the industrialization program of government. This will be done through a national trade fair to be organized by the association. This will create a platform for both parties to dialogue on special initiatives. President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Yaobing, disclosed this in an exclusive interview with Joy Business. Ebenezer Sabute has more in this report.
The One District, One Factory program is an initiative to promote the establishment of medium to large-scale industries in each district. According to the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Ghanaian traders were willing to move into the manufacturing sector. To this end, the association is seeking to venture into an industrialization program beginning this year with the organization of a trade fair in Accra.
If you see our progress, the natural progression should go to manufacturing, because you sell the thing, the goods have presence in the market. And then the next thing is that, can I manufacture the things here rather than buying? And this is what our main focus is going to be, to factor into the government 1D, 1F thing. So we are going to organize a trade fair for our members. We are going to see machines that produce the value addition machineries and all that.
He, however, expressed concern if the initiative is not guided by stringent measures to discourage importation, the locally manufactured product may not get ready market.
We can't do this. Even I will have to give a question to government. If you can't do this 1D, 1F for it to succeed, when the same product that the factories are going to produce is being imported by these foreigners, it's going to pull the whole thing down. So we should recognize most of these things that we have, because if we are directing our investment trade towards trading, then what nation are we? Because we have to drive, the investment drive should go towards the more productive areas, agriculture, the manufacturing value addition things and all that.
GUTA is therefore setting up a committee to begin the process for the initiative.
Now, the directive by the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, to recall all LPG cylinders in operation as part of the rollout of the new cylinder recirculation model has come under some criticism. The NPA boss, Hassan Tampuli, on Wednesday noted that all domestic gas cylinders will be recalled and replaced with specialized cylinders under the new distribution module. Karen Dodu has been engaging some consumers of LPG in Accra and has come through with this report.
The planned LPG recall forms part of the recirculation model, which is expected to begin later this year. Chief Executive of the NPA, Hassan Tampuli, made this known at a colloquium held yesterday to address matters arising in the petroleum sector. He explained that the recall of the cylinders will happen in the latter stages, and it's part of implementing the recirculation model. Although the collection of cylinders will not happen soon, consumers have met this announcement with mixed reaction. Christian Ampofo is a taxi driver who uses LPG as the fuel for his car. He is in doubt as to how this directive will apply to him.
Is that possible? So if we remove this cylinder for the car, go to the station, they take back, because it's the viscous. Because that's if you'd have taken them and dropping, or like a different car dropping, go there, come back, put it for my car, turn it again, go give me the problem. That this one is on the viscous, you go make viscous for me. Then you go make the straw that public straw, you go come to the car.
Others raise similar concerns.
When they recall it, I don't know how far with the public education, because they need to really educate the public how to use it, the pros, the cons, the good side and the bad side of the whole issue. But moreover, I'm told when you come here, the gas is already in the cylinder. It has been filled, and we don't know. It also creates an avenue. I don't know. People, there's going to be controversy because we don't know whether if you come and there's a filled cylinder and they tell you it's 100 cedis worth, how can you determine it?
So I have questions. The question is, when they collect our old one, are they going to pay for our old cylinders? The new ones they are bringing, are we going to pay for them, or they are going to distribute it free? That's, if they are able to answer that question, then we'll know how to go about it. Because maybe somebody will use this opportunity to create an industry.
The National Petroleum Authority has disclosed that it will recall all LPG gas cylinders as part of the recirculation model to take effect this year. Now, consumers have met this directive or this instruction with mixed reactions, with some calling for more education on the recirculation model. Reporting for Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, is also justifying the decision by government to impose taxes and levies on the transport of marine gas oil in the country. According to the NPA, unscrupulous petroleum service providers try to cheat the system by dumping marine oil meant for export back into the local market to make some economic gains and for tax avoidance purposes. The situation, he said, is estimated to cost the nation 18 million Ghana cedis in loss of tax revenue. In an interview with Joy Business, CEO of NPA, Hassan Tampuni, disclosed that this is why the special petroleum tax has been extended.
In the 2018 budget, the finance minister has imposed some taxes, levies, and margins on the price of MGO foreign. So that will take out the difference in price. Because essentially it's the same diesel that we consume at homes in our vehicles that is being used for the MGO. So there is an incentive to divert. Okay, for once there is an incentive to divert and the prices differ, naturally, you know, people will be amenable to using some other means to divert it onto the market. So now you are paying the same price on MGO foreign as you pay at the pump by way of tax. So nobody really is going to put in place any measures at all anymore. So we in MPA, we have these projections that we do on a yearly basis. There's a projection of at least 5% increase from the previous year's volumes. So, and that has been consistent, it's been working like magic. So when you have a situation where the recorded official volumes do not meet the 5% potential increase, then there's a problem. So you have the estimates and you have the actuals. And by our estimates, there's been some serious leakages until sometime August, thereabouts, when the economic management team made some intervention for us to roll out. And that kind of abated all these leakages. I'm sure it could have been more, but for the intervention of the economic management team, which gave us the immediate, powers to do what we had to do.
And that's all by way of business tonight. Thank you so much for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. There's more news ahead. Don't go away.
Research by engineers at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology shows that maize contains cancer-causing metal substances and that Ghanaians consume between 25 to 97.2 milligrams of iron particles daily from meals prepared from milled maize. Such meals would include the highly popular kenke made from maize and maize porridge. The findings published in the Journal of Science and Technology indicate the iron particles which end up in our meals are far above the National Research Council's recommended dietary iron intake. Lava Films' Kwesi Debra breaks it all down in the following report.
It's 2 p.m. Francis Abesiwie attends to his 12th client. Local alcoholic beverage Pito Briwa Akusia is here to have her soaked millet milled. Milling involves crushing the sorghum into powder by a pair of metal plates, one stationary and the other turning. The same machine is used to mill and blend tomatoes and other vegetables in the morning, then cereals afterwards. Ordinarily, it takes about 20 minutes to mill 25 kilograms or more of millet. Immediately Francis is done, Akosia's 2-kilogram dry maize follows. After all is done, it's time to clean up the grinding plates.
Everyone say, why you do my bright? When
the workload is high, it wears away every 2 days. There's a need to sharpen them. With less workload, they can last for a week. Francis prefers to buy locally made plates to imported ones. The foreign plates wear out slowly, but they can't be recycled. They are also expensive. Corn milling, whether wet or dry, is a major activity in Ghana. According to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, over 95% of Ghanaians enjoy dishes prepared from milled maize. Wearing of the plates means metal particles finding their way into the milled stuff.
I know with the mention of iron, most of you will be thinking about the formation of red blood cells, carrying of oxygen in the bloodstream, the building of tissues, the building of muscles, the building of the brains. Sorry to say, the one found in your kinky is not the usual or doesn't act like ferrous sulfate BP. It's rather a dangerous one.
A study conducted at 105 maize milling shops in Ghana found for a total of 1,800 kilograms of milled maize, the amount of metallic iron particles found is about 175 kilograms and 90 kilograms for wet and dry milling respectively. The findings again indicates the amount of iron particles in milled maize increased with the quantity. Engineer Dr. Anthony Andrews of KNUST Department of Materials Engineering is a member of the research team.
What is serious about this is that the iron that is in the condo is in there as metallic iron. And so when you consume it, it's an unorthodox way of consuming iron. And so the metallic iron is more carcinogenic, which has a detrimental effect on the health of human beings.
The researchers are taking steps to improve the wear resistance of the locally produced mill plates.
Elements like chromium can be added to it. In that case, it becomes a cast steel rather than just a cast iron. And the chromium content in it will improve the corrosion property of it and therefore has a tendency to minimize the wear.
The Materials Engineering Department of KNUST plans to train small-scale foundry operators to improve manufacture of milling plates. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Meanwhile, Dorothy Duodu, who has been making kinky for the past 30 years, says they are aware of the metal traces in their maize-based foods. She ever tells Joy News they make an effort to remove them.
Yes. At times I inform the people who are grinding the corn. Wow. I inform them that they should be aware because there's metal in the maize, in the condo or condo. So at times why I inform them, they should be aware with their machine. Maybe the machine they used to grind, maybe it's old. Wow. Preparing the condo, you can see some of it inside the condo. We remove it. Then the next time, we inform them, the people who used to grind the maize for us, that there was something wrong with their machine, so they should check it.
So how do you remove the metal?
You can see by grinding by doing the condo. After that, you miss it. So when you are in the bunny, when you say, oh, bodokuna, say your bonu kaka, nkiti, oh, bodokuna, na oh, na oh, yifrim, dokunu, nkiti, until you're young boss, once it didn't, oh, yeah, oh, uyi, na times no mood that chem say, me share, dear wodokunu.
Welcome to Joy News Prime, and as I indicated earlier, the Vice President has returned home apparently. That's what we're learning. He's returned home from the United Kingdom, where he's been on a 12-day medical leave on the advice of his doctors. We have journalist Latif Idris. He's standing by at the airport to bring us up to speed on the Vice President's arrival at the moment. I understand he is with the Minister of Information. Hello, Latif. What can you tell us about the arrival of the Vice President?
All right, thank you very much, Israel. And we are live here at the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport, where we understand the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, just touched down about 5 minutes ago. The President has moved to the tarmac to bring him, as it were, here for the general public to, as it were, set eyes on the Vice President, who we know has been away for 12 days on a medical leave after his doctors gave that advice. I have the Information Minister here with me. What should we expect at this welcome?
That's a tricky question. We've all come here to welcome home the Vice President. So, of course, what it means, therefore, is that we are expecting to see the very buoyant, ever-smiling Vice President that we have known. And all of us to be excited that once again he's going to come and continue to do the great work that he's been doing for Ghana. So, I mean, that's all that we expect.
Should we expect also some fanfare?
Oh, I'm not sure. The fact that you see the smile on my face, it's fanfare in itself. I mean, that we are all now very excited. You know, all of us can now rest easy, you know, from the calls that we get from around the country, from concerned party people, Ghanaians. How is he? Are you sure he's okay? You remember when his pictures showed even on the internet, where people had gone to see him and etc., etc. People still said, oh, these are Photoshop pictures. Oh, it is not true. Oh, these are 1998 pictures and etc., etc. People said all sorts of things. So today it brings finality to the matter. And so that's all there is that there is today. But it's not as if there's going to be drumming and dancing or anything of the sort. No, there will be no pomp and pageantry. It's just ministers of state and chief of staff and his colleagues in government who are excited to see him.
Would you say the Vice President is on top form to assume his position?
Well, again, you're asking me to make a medical pronouncement. What I know is that he's hale and hearty. He's well. He's going to come back and do his work. That's all. But to make a definite pronouncement about tip-top shape, I cannot. The Vice President now comes.
So you having it here right on Joy News Israel. The Vice President has just arrived here at the VIP lounge, and the President is the one leading the team that brings the Vice President here at the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport. We know the Vice President has been away for 12 days on medical leave in the United Kingdom. Today, he has arrived. He is back home, and you are getting the feed live on your most authoritative news channel, Joy News. And the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia. And there you have the clap from government appointees, ministers of state who have gathered here in their numbers, welcoming the Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, has arrived back home here. And first hug goes to the Chief of Staff. And it is interesting, beautiful pictures here. You're seeing it live on Joy News, your most authoritative news channel. The Vice President of the Republic, Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, is back home. He is back home, and the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is the one leading the team that brings the Vice President here. And he's followed by the First Lady and the Second Lady. There you have the Second Lady and the First Lady also following the President and the Vice President. Beautiful pictures here at the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport. It is all about the arrival of the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, who has been on medical leave for 12 days in the United Kingdom, and today he is back home. There were a lot of speculations about the health status of the Vice President, and today the Vice President is home and he is hugging all the
All right, so there you have it, the very first images of the Vice President after he touched down here in Accra, the Kotoka International Airport. He touched down in the last few minutes and he's making his way to the VIV. In fact, he is in the Jubilee Lounge, where I expect, or I believe, that he's going to be addressing the media in a bit. But there you saw him in the visuals, in the footage, and clearly you can tell that he looks pretty fit and exchanging pleasantries with some of the ministers and officials of government officials who were at the or are at the Jubilee Lounge to welcome him. Joining us, Latif Idris is still at the Jubilee Lounge and he will be bringing us some more updates. We expect to hear from the Vice President, but he has been away for 12 days on medical leave on the advice of his doctors, and he was returned. He was met on arrival at the Kotoka International Airport by the President and the First Lady, Rebecca Kufu-Addo, as well as some ministers, as you saw in your shot there. Let's cross over back to the Jubilee Lounge and hear what they have for us.
You have the airport train.
Well, in the Vice President's absence, there's been all sorts of rumors about his health. Well, there were people suggesting that he was bedridden and all, but government has kept faith with us and told us that the Vice President is healthy, except he had to be away. So clearly, we have footage of him right now here in Accra, looking pretty fit, and I believe he's ready to continue with the work that he's been doing since he assumed office together with the President. We're still waiting to hear from him. We expect that there's going to be a brief news conference, or they're going to be addressing journalists at the Jubilee Lounge, and we will be bringing you his address immediately it becomes available. But you're still watching Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. Now, it has emerged that the NDC team on the committee probing the cash for seat scandal is planning to issue a minority report. The 5-member committee is divided along party lines as the minority team fundamentally disagrees with the 3-member majority team on what the outcome of the investigation is. The committee was expected to present its report to the House on Thursday, but that has been postponed to Friday. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak appealed for the extension on the floor of the House. Now, Majority Leader Osecheme Bonsu said the minority is seeking to stall the release of the report.
In any event, that cannot stop the committee from bringing their report. The committee was supposed to conclude their work yesterday, and we know they've cocooned themselves in the hotel, and they are working on it. Yesterday, they had programmed to meet at 3, 3 o'clock in the afternoon to conclude everything in order for them to be able to submit the report today. 3 of them went to wait, and one of them was absent, the Honorable Dr. Dominic Ayini. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, couldn't go. They called him, he said he will come there at 5 o'clock, he didn't go, and said to them that, okay, eventually they should give him 2 hours more, which was to lead them to 7 p.m. 7 p.m. they called him, his phones were off for whatever reason. It was not until 12 midnight that he sent word to them to respond to their earlier calls. I mean, clearly, even the uninitiated will know that there's something at play. So this morning at the business committee meeting at about 9:30, my colleague, the minority leader, then came and informed me that the Honorable Ayini says he wants to write a minority report. That cannot delay. If you want to write a minority report, why don't you tell your colleagues? You have to tell the minority leader. I mean, clearly there's something amiss. But whatever it is, I have said to them, he says he has something to discuss with the committee. They were going to lay the report. I prevailed upon them to wait. Let them have the meeting. So eventually they agreed to have a meeting at 4. They should go and have that meeting, and tomorrow they will lay the document. So and they will debate.
This meeting is because of the demand or
because of Dominic Ayini. So they wait, whatever he has, let him come and share with the committee. They will know how to handle it, if they have to incorporate anything more, because they are telling me that all that they are doing is stringing the evidence together and then making conclusions from what the members who appeared before them and the people they invited told them. So they are stringing out the legal issues and making observations and conclusions.
Now, members of parliament are pushing for a law to stop the practice of secret recording and make the act punishable by law. They describe as worrying the recording of secret audios by some individuals without permission, which end up in the public domain. MP for Subing, Eugene Boachi Entry, delivered a statement on the floor of Parliament expressing concern about the phenomenon. MPs also expressed worry about the circulation of pornographic videos on social media.
It's time Ghana crafted legislation to make the boundaries clearer. It's time Ghana puts a foot down to some of these disgusting cultures sleeping in and clouding our judgment. In what circumstances, Mr. Speaker, can one record a private conversation and release said conversation to a third party or to the public? In what circumstances can the state breach a person's right to privacy by interfering with his communication or correspondence? As we build upon our democracy and find various ways of defending our rights under the Constitution, it is important that these matters are dealt with and dealt with urgently.
Mr. Speaker, we were very conscious about that lacuna in our existing legislation when we attempted, albeit without success, to have the interception of postal packets and telecommunications bill passed into law. That bill clearly provided for a sanctions regime so that offenders of the law, as in those who unlawfully intercept information without the court warrant or order, would be exposed to some penal, if you like, treatment, and also to invite the current administration, if they consider it appropriate, the bill that was introduced could be reintroduced.
We do not have the power to initiate it, but we could influence it. It's always at the behest of the Attorney General in terms of some of these legislations. But we could prompt the Attorney General and all the stakeholders to assure that we guard against some of these excesses.
Shouldn't we be advising our constituents and advising the general public to really stop the production of these things? I mean, why are people so to take videos of themselves naked, of private parts?
All right, so you're still watching Joy News Prime, and as you've been seeing or you've been watching on our screens in the last few minutes, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia has arrived in Accra after a 12-day medical leave in the United Kingdom. Joining me in the studio right now is head of the political desk, Evans Benson, and we're going to be having some analysis. We're going to do some analysis on it. What do you make of the visuals of the Vice President arriving?
Yeah, I mean,
especially after all the rumors.
Exactly, it's so reminiscent of what happened with the former President, Professor Evans Tamils.
Okay, except this one is not jogging on the
obviously, yes. I mean, that detail wasn't repeated, but it bears all the hallmarks of that. He was away for. They didn't call it medical leave. In fact, they didn't tell us exactly what it was, although we knew that he had gone for some medical attention. There was a lot of criticism that we needed to know. Almost the same script playing out again. And then eventually he comes back, flies in, gets to the tarmac. The difference here is clear. We had party foot soldiers and supporters who had been sent there with the drumming and dancing. He gets off the plane and jogs and gives a speech. It's a pomp and pageantry. We've seen Dr. Bawumia return. There's a calmer mood around the place, but you could see jubilation and excitement.
Well, this is what we're seeing at the Jubilee Lounge. We don't know if there are party supporters who have gathered elsewhere at the airport.
And Lateef can tell us that, because it'll be interesting to see. Because remember that on air tonight, I spoke to the Deputy Chief of Staff, who was clear and emphasizing that it's not for public. It's just media, the president, and a few of his appointees who will be there to receive him. That's exactly what we saw.
Except we have a few more than
absolutely. He was attempting to discourage party foot soldiers and supporters from amassing up there at the airport. I'm pretty sure there will be a few, or I don't know, many party supporters who might go there. Lateef can tell us that. But clearly from what you see on our screens, there's a whole array of ministers who had gone there to receive and welcome him. The president himself was pretty excited about it. And this is what we do in Ghana, really. I mean, it's a Ghanaian thing. The person is not well. There's generated controversy. He is back. And we need to show that he's alive. And clearly, from what we see, he looks absolutely healthy. Yeah. And he himself, I'm pretty sure he's overwhelmed by the reception that he has received. And the conversations will continue tomorrow. Today, the questions were asked of the Deputy Chief of Staff, for example, about, he just spent 12 days, by the way, 12 days on the medical leave. And the questions we were asking, again, because of our collective history, we want to go...
Yeah. Let's go back to the Jubilee Lounge where Lateef Idris is standing by. Hello, Lateef. What more can you tell us? Hello, Lateef. What has the Vice President been saying, if he's actually said anything at all?
All right, thank you, Israel. So the Vice President has arrived, and as we speak, Israel is in a meeting with the President and other sector ministers who came here to welcome him after 12 days of medical leave in the United Kingdom. The Vice President, Israel, has not made any official statements as at now. What we know is that he's only been hugging and shaking hands and kissing the sector ministers and government appointees who gathered here in their numbers to give him what one can describe as a rousing welcome after 12 days. And what we have also gathered here, Israel, is that the Vice President is moving straight into business, because tomorrow the President of the Republic is leaving town. And so we are going to have the Vice President taking up the position as acting President just a few hours after returning from his medical leave in the United Kingdom. So with your question, the Vice President, Israel, has not made any official statement as at now. But as we speak now, he's back there in a meeting with the President and government appointees who gathered here in their numbers to give him that rousing welcome, Israel.
Thank you very much, Lateef. What we also want to find out is that we've seen a number of government appointees at the Jubilee Lounge. Do you know, or can you tell, if we have party supporters who have thronged the airport and expecting to get to meet or see the Vice President?
With party supporters, clearly I've looked around the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport, and I've not set eyes of any party faithful who have thronged the VIP lounge to welcome the Vice President. All we have here are government appointees, security detail at the Flagstaff House as well, and ministers of state. They are the ones who have gathered here members of the Flagstaff House, the Office of the Vice President, Office of the President, and sector ministers are the ones who are here to welcome the Vice President. With regards to party foot soldiers coming here in their numbers to welcome the Vice President, I haven't seen any of that here at the VIP Lounge, Israel.
So Latif Idris, please be on standby for us. If the Vice President is about to make any remarks, or the President himself, we will be coming live to you. But thank you very much for now. All right, so clearly from what Latif is saying, the Vice President is hitting the ground running, essentially.
I mean, and that was the point I was going to before we crossed over to Latif. Today it came up, and again because of our collective history with the former President Mills, that he's just been away for 12 months, 12 days. Now, the thing about that, we've all been unwell before. And for what happened, the communications that we got, the speculations that went on for medical leave, you definitely will want more time. I will want more time. I'm simply a journalist. Consider the fact he's going to be president tomorrow, acting president. There's a load of work that he's going to jump into tomorrow. I'm putting myself in his shoes, and I'm thinking, if I were him, I would definitely want, wouldn't you? And we put that question to the Deputy Chief of Staff, whether aren't we rushing him
into the job?
And he says, well, from what they've seen and heard from his doctors, he's beginning a clean bill of health.
He's good to go.
And so he's going to start work immediately tomorrow.
Even though, I mean, we're talking about the fact that he's hitting the ground running, but my understanding is that even whilst he was away, I mean, he was actually looking at documents and doing some work.
I mean, he raises all those other questions, but of course, we wish him well.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely happy that he's
Thank
back.
you very much, Evan Spencer, for joining me here on Joy News Prime. But we're still keeping an eye on the situation at the Jubilee Lounge of Kotoka International Airport. If the Vice President is about to make some remarks, or the President is about to make some remarks, we would be. All right, so I'd have to break into sports, Gary, because we told that the Vice President is about to leave the Jubilee Lounge at the Kotoka International Airport, and Latif Idris is on standby. Hello, Latif. What's the very latest on that?
Yes, Israel. So the Vice President and the Second Lady, Samira Bawumia, just got into their car. Same applies to the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the First Lady. They've both gotten on board their cars here at the VIP lounge. It has been after about 15 minutes of talk behind closed doors here at the VIP lounge after the Vice President's arrival here. And so after 15 minutes of talk between the President, the Vice President, and other presidential staffers, with the Chief of Staff inclusive, that talk has ended, and the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, and the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, are both leaving the airport here back to their respective homes, if you like. The President is the first to take off here. So I'm just standing by the car of the Vice President, which is expected to also follow suit after the President has departed from the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport. And so the car you are seeing in short, Israel, is that of the Vice President, and it is leaving the VIP lounge. And we have his security detail just following the car, as it were, and there you have it, all others following the Vice President of the Republic, who has just left the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport, Israel. It has been such a brief ceremony, brief but colorful welcome by the President of the Republic, who was in the company of the Chief of Staff and other sector ministers who gathered here at the VIP lounge of the Kotoka International Airport to give the Vice President that rousing welcome. Back to you, Israel.
All right, Latif, is it the case that the Vice President or the President didn't make any remarks at all? Right, it appears we have lost Latif Idris, the link to Latif Idris there. But Gary, after joining us Prime, we're returning to the Jubilee Lounge of Kotoka International Airport, where Latif Idris just covering the arrival of the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. He just sat down in Accra, from the UK, where he's been away on medical leave for 12 days. Now, Lateef Idris, what more can you tell us? I know that the President and the Vice President have left the Jubilee Lounge, but I believe that you have... I was asking earlier, is it that the Vice President didn't make any remarks at all?
Yeah, Israel, the Vice President, we know, got inside behind closed doors with the President and the Chief of Staff, plus other government appointees who gathered here to welcome him. It was just a brief ceremony. It happened behind closed doors, I must say. We were allowed in briefly, but then had to step out for that private engagement with the President and the sector ministers to happen. So officially, the Vice President hasn't made any statement as at now. Probably come tomorrow and the day after, we expect him to make statements, considering the fact that Israel, just tomorrow, the Vice President is moving straight into business, taking up the position as acting President, because we understand the President will be leaving town to Senegal, where he's attending a forum. This is happening because he's been invited by the presidents of that country. Let's talk a bit more about the Vice President's arrival. And I have here with me his spokesperson, Gideon Boakon, is the spokesperson of the Vice President, and he joins me here. What does this arrival mean to those of you who work directly under the Vice President? He's been away for 12 days. Did you miss him?
Thank you very much. Of course, I really missed the Vice President. I've been working closely with him for some time. And he has an infectious work attitude and work ethics. And so his absence more or less was a toll in our lives, because you get to office in the morning and the usual daily strategy briefings and meetings, technical briefings, we never had it. And so I was addicted to it every morning. You meet the Vice President for like 30 minutes or an hour to take stock of what happened the previous day and what is going to happen next day or two. And then if there are one or two advice, then he also gives you. I mean, those were missing, and actually I really miss him for that. And then also, the Vice President is also somebody that you would want to be around all the time. I have always said, anytime I go to him, I'll go to him with my pen and paper, because he always gives new ideas. And so if you are somebody who doesn't read or who is not on top of issues, you get to the Vice President and get embarrassed. And so, but in his absence, we're still working. The structures in his office are such that you don't need one person to rock the boat. Even when he was not around, the structures were working. Even today, I had to leave a retreat from Abokobi and come here because there are some meetings that the delivery unit we need to have with the Tony Blair Institute to make sure that some government priority projects are ongoing. So we really miss the Vice President. We thank God and the people of Ghana for your prayers that God took him to London for medical leave, and God has also brought him safely. We agree.
So let's talk about God taking him to London, bringing him back safely. You've worked with him closely. You've seen him this evening. Would you say he's recovered fully and that he's ready for the business?
I mean, you saw the Vice President. I have never seen him laughing so loudly like this. I mean, today his laughter quite also increased. I know he has an infectious smile, and that is what somebody knows him for. But today, right from the first person to the last person, it was all hugs and all laughs. And I could see, I mean, there hasn't been any change actually. And to get it right, he went on medical leave, and it's something that everybody, all of us, we fall short of. I fall short of it. My doctor has advised every 6 months I go for checkup, but I don't usually get it done. And so sometimes you get one or two loutish attitude behaviors here and there. I mean, we saw an energetic Vice President as he used to be, very poised for action and work. There hasn't been any substantial change in his body. If I see from where I sit, I mean, I can't go into the physiology of everything, but looking at it hypothetically, there's no doubt that the Vice President we have known, the Vice President we have also seen all the time, and there hasn't been any change. And so I don't think there's any issue on that.
So we are all happy to have the Vice President back. Thank you very much, Mr. Gideon.
I'm more than happier than you.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. So that was he speaks for the Vice President, Gideon Boakon, giving us his own perspective as far as the Vice President's arrival here at the Jubilee launch of the Kotoka International Airport is concerned. So Israel, once again, let's emphasize on this, that the Vice President is back. and is getting straight into business come tomorrow because he's taking up the position as acting president. Why? Because the president will be leaving town for Senegal. Back to you, Israel.
All right. Thank you very much, Latif Idris, bringing us that update and that chat with the Vice President spokesperson.
This is Joy News Prime.
And in the headlines, President Akufo-Addo has suspended the Upper West Regional Minister following acts of vigilantism in his region. The minister is, however, denying ordering the release of the thugs who attacked the NADMO office. For which reason he has been suspended. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is heading to court to clear his name after the minority, citing a Shrag report, demanded his resignation. TDC Development Company effectively takes over 4 Kaiser flats marked for demolition after they were deemed unsafe for habitation, except for one of the rooms in flat 407 where a 69-year-old pensioner tenant is refusing to leave. In Business, Association of Ghana Industries draws government's attention to excessive malpractices and revenue leakages at the port despite implementation of a paperless operational system.